Hello folks and welcome back. Today we're going to do a little exercise with string methods. Now you've been employed by a bank and the bank want to make an interface for their telephone banking operators. So they want to be able to say what is the username, maybe personal phone says my username is Jones V and it looks up do we have a username, do we have that username, and if they do it displays the password for it to ask the caller. And you think, okay, that's doable, I could do that quite easily. So you start by working out a bit of planning. So you need to ask them for a username and password. So let's put a scanner, let's design it so we have that. So we have a scanner. Enter username word, we need a scanner for that, and we need a variable to store. I can't spell variable now, guys, apologies. To store password. And last but not least, we need a variable to say whether or not the data has been found. Okay, so perfect, good start. So now, logic. What logic do we need to do to make this program work? Well, firstly, we need to ask name. We need to check user name exists. If exists, we need to display password. Else, we're going to say go away as fast as we can. Okay, so that, guys, is the basic program, and that is the basic plan. Okay, so let's work from here, shall we? So firstly, we need to make a scanner to get their username and password. So I am going to type here scanner input equals new scanner, and that's going to have system in as a variable. Perfect. Then we always need to ask them a question first too. So it's going to say system.out.println and then brackets and speech marks user name. There we go, that's all there. That is all ready. Oh, we're on the wrong place. I've never used this laptop before today, guys, so I do apologise for the chaos here. So scanner input equals new scanner. Obviously we need to import scanner, otherwise it may complain. There we are, import scanner.util, and that's all done for us. So now we need to make a variable to store the username. So it's going to be a string, obviously. Be lots of text and maybe some numbers in there, but that is always going to be a string. So string is going to be username given or ungiven. And variable to store password is string pw given. And then finally, we want to be able to tell the computer when we found the data. So, okay, yeah. I managed to misspell weather, guys, I apologise for that. That's why I don't teach English. So, change the variable. So, Boolean found state whether data is found. So, we say, okay, Boolean found equals false. So, until we found it, it's going to say false. Nice and easy. Okay, so, next. So, I need to put a semicolon on there. So, that is all the data we're going to need for this program. So, we now need to start doing some logic. So, the first bit of logic is asking for a username. So, we're going to first ask them system.out.println user name, and maybe I'll put a little bit of grammar and syntax in there too. So username, and then put a colon, and then we check if username exists. So we need to loop through it to see how it goes. In fact, first, sorry, my mistake, we need to get the username, don't we? So, and we're going to say, okay, un given is going to be equal to whatever they type in after you've asked that. So, input dot, and then we're going to say next. Oh, very well. How about that? Perfect. Username next. Lovely. And now we want to see if username is in this list of names up here. Okay, so the best way to do that is to loop through and see if username is equal to one of these names. So to loop through, check if username exists. Well, to do that, we need to use a for loop, don't we? So for, and then we need to say make a new variable, int, can't spell int today, int x equals 0. We're going to say x is going to go until it's as big as the array. Now arrays, guys, do have a handy feature, which is you can type in username, and then instead of always having to know how many items are in username, the computer can tell you. The way to do this, guys, is type dot and then follow it by length, and that will tell you the size of the array, and then semicolon x plus equals 1. So we're going to increase by 1 each time it goes around. Okay, so there we are. It's now going to look through the entire array, and so we now need to say, does the username exist? So we're going to say if, and open brackets, we're going to say un given dot equals, it's a string, so I can't use equal sign, don't forget, equals user name, and then the username in position x in the array. Then we are going to want to do something, and we're going to want to display password x. So system dot out dot print line password is, and then space, put a comma in there, and then we're going to go password x. There we go, and that should do the job very nicely. So end of line, semicolon. So let's just try this out so far, shall we? So run it. Yep, okay, right, absolutely fine. Proceed. And it's saying there is an error here. What is the error? Let's look at the console, let's find out, eh? So it's on line 33, and password is password string. Oh, so it's both string variables. So the way to check this, guys, is not do a comma, it's a plus sign. Okay, try it again now. Username, and I am going to type in my username is Jones V, who is the first one in my list, and the password is 123456. And you think, perfect, the first part is now there, the first part is now working. Lovely. Okay, good start, good start. So next, we now need to, if it doesn't exist, display the password. And this is where this boolean found comes in. So if we find it and the password is there, then found equals false. There we go. So found, we have found it. Why is it false? My mistake. It's going to equal true because we found it, it's there, and it works. Perfect. Okay. But we now want to say, after the loop is finished, If found is equal to false still, then we want to say go away, we don't want you, you don't bank with us. So we're going to put system dot out dot print line, and then something really offensive, we're going to say go away, you Arsenal fan, which I think is pretty damn offensive personally. So let's run it and let's see what happens. So say I type in the wrong name. Say I type in George, if I want something better. It's going to say, go away, you Arsenal fan. But if I run it again now, and I just type in Jones V, who, as you'll remember, is up here in my list, then hopefully, Jones V, password is 123456. So, question 1 is done. Copy that into your books, make sure it works, and then we'll go on to question 2. So guys, task 2. For task 2, we don't want to display the password. The bank said we don't want to show the agent the password. We want them to type in the password, and if it's correct, it says in you go. Okay, so here we now need to put a second if statement. Okay, so far we are looping, and we are saying if it equals username, and we've got the username in there. So if we know the username exists, we now need to ask them, what is your password? Okay, so I'm going to delete these two here, as up to here, the program remains exactly the same. So we're going to take those out, bada-bing, bada-boom, there we go. Now, if username is given, okay, then we are going to ask them what their password is. So system.out.println, please enter your password. And they are going to enter a password. And then we need to collect it from the scanner again. So we're going to come down here, another new line, and we are going to say, okay, password given equals next, input dot next, open close brackets, yep, okay, nice, and then close speech mark. So now it says okay, password given will be input next. So then we check this against the array we have here of passwords and see if the array of password and username match, and if they do, great, if not, go away. So if we got this far, we know that the username matches. Okay, if UN_given equals username X. So now we do a second one, pretty much exactly the same, but for the password. So password given dot equals, and then put commas there, and inside them we are saying okay equals username, and then square bracket username. Sorry, my mistake. What am I on about today? Password X. Okay, there we go. So now we just put a curly bracket in there, and we're going to say, and they're in, they have entered their username, entered their password, they both work. So we're going to say insert out, print line, welcome friend. And once we've done that, we're going to set the found variable, so found equals true. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is get their username. We're going to check through the list of usernames. If the username exists, we're going to say please enter your password. And if the username doesn't exist, if the username exists, we're going to say great, enter your password. And if password exists, welcome friend. Okay, but we only say found is true, so this code here doesn't work if they've both been found. Okay, so let's run this and see how it works. So username is there twice. Got to work out why that is actually. But I'm going to type in Jones V. Okay, so Jones V. And what was Vinny's password? It was 123456. So 123456. Perfect. Push enter. And down below the screen, which you can't see for the moment, but you're just about to, it should be saying and welcome friend. Okay, but if I get this wrong, let's just clear it so we can all see it, eh? Clear. Then all we do now is we just simply try it again with a false password, see what happens. So the username is going to be Corker, and the password is going to be P-word. So it's not going to work. And what does it say? Yeah, at the bottom where you can't see, but you can now, it will say, go away, you Arsenal fan. So that's the second question done. Okay guys, so the bank for your next task have said, okay, you know, sometimes our operators get a bit silly and they accidentally put a capital letter into the username. So they say, okay, instead of being Jones V, it's capital J, capital V, capital F, capital J. Is there any way we can stop them doing this? And you think, actually, yep, I think we could do this quite nicely. PW given, not PW, sorry, UN given is the variable here. We need to make UN variable is always in lowercase, because if we look in the list of usernames, they're always in lowercase. So we just say, okay, how do we change it? Well, actually, it should be relatively simple. We just need to set it so that on this occasion, the variables are all going to be in lowercase. So after UN given, I just type dot 2, and then we go to lowercase. Okay, so 2 lowercase, and then that should work. So say I try again, and say I want to type in Besant D, but I make a mistake. I put in lots and lots and lots of capitals. What happens if I press enter? Please enter your password. It found it. So I have used 2 lowercase on just this occasion to make this come out as a lowercase word. It won't change it at all. It will just, on this one occasion, it will make it appear as a lowercase word. And that will be checked against the list of usernames in the array here, which of course are all lowercase anyway. So that was task 3 done. Perfect. Okay folks, so last but not least, the bank say to you, right, we think our system is not secure enough. We don't want to ask them for the entire password because someone listening could use that. Instead, I want to ask them for a random letter from their password. And you say, okay, for computer science, that's pretty easy to do. So you think, how do I do this? First things first, you need to create a new random generator. So I'll make a nice random generator data file up here, and we're going to call ours rand. Okay, so it's random. I can't spell random, which is very embarrassing. Rand equals new random, and then close brackets. There we are. Nice. You'll notice these are still underlined in red. Why? Because Java doesn't have a random library built into it by default. You need to import it. So import random java.util. There we are. And random is now there. And random can now give us a new value. Perfect, you think. Okay. So now here it says please enter your password. So we want to change it before that. So I'm going to make a new variable here called int y, and that's going to equal rand, the random variable we just made, dot next int. So it's going to be integer, let's face it. We can't ask for a 3.5 letter of your password. That will just drive you up the wall pretty easily. Okay, so y equals random int. Now the problem with this, guys, is that this could ask for a number up to, say, 7 million or something, and I don't think your password is going to be 7 million characters long. So how do we limit it to a certain length? Well, as always, guys, we've learnt with our loops that using names, values and arrays do have lengths, or strings or numbers do have lengths. So we're going to look at password, the current password, so x, and then dot length. And this should then give it a number to work with. So the random number it creates will be the same length as your word is. Okay, perfect. So now we say, okay, system out, please enter, and then we're going to change that slightly. So we're going to say, please enter the, and then I want to put another value in there. So enter the plus y, give it a space, letter of your password. Okay, so it'll ask them for one letter from their password. So let's just see how that looks so far. Okay, so run it. Username is going to be Jones V. Please enter the first letter of your password. Okay, we'll find a way of doing that, not to make it look weird, but that is a good start so far. So now we've got the input, we now need to see, is it the right word? So we need to modify this line here. We're saying, does the password given equal password X? Well, we can now change that a bit, can't we? So now we need to say, okay, I'm going to delete this and start over, okay? Because I think that's easiest. My mouse went slightly strange there, I do apologise. So if, and then the password given, if password given and the index of y, so we're saying the location number given in there, so we're saying if index of brackets y, if that goes in there, and if that is, just make sure I have enough brackets here, if that equals password X, okay, so the password one currently, we want the index of y, so is the number they're at in both the same? And if it is, then they've matched and they work perfectly. Okay, so index y, there we are. Then we say enter friend, if not, go away. So we made a random variable. We said enter a certain letter of your password. The password number is in there. So let's see how this works. So let's run this again, and hopefully username, I am going to go for Corker. What was his password? So Corker's password is football. So I'm going to say username is Corker, and the first letter of his password. Now don't forget, guys, computers start counting from 0. So it's actually 0 is F and 1 is O. So here I'm going to type O, and hopefully it's going to say welcome friend. Okay, now one last minor thing we can do to this to improve it is we can make it display this number increased by 1, so it's actually in human counting. So instead of y, we just put a bracket in here, and then we say y plus 1. So then the number stays the same, we don't change the variable at all, we just display it increased by 1. So let's try again. Let's put in cork again. Password, was it, what did I type in a minute ago? It's football. So what's the 7th letter of football? So Footb, a L. It should be an L if we're on the right track here. So press L, press enter, and welcome friend. There you are. Okay, folks. So there you are, guys. That was the video. I hope you worked through it with me. If you look below this on the VLE, you will see some extension questions for you to have a go at. Thank you for watching, and best of British luck. Adios.